Let's practice. You will read a line of n integers, all of them on the same line. You should find the index of the maximum and the second maximum values in the list. If there are more than answer, find the first match for them. For example, let's say the input is 10, 23, 37. Then the value 30 is the maximum value here. It has an index of 3. And the second maximum is 20. It has an index 1. Another example here, this guys, the maximum value here again is 30. The second maximum is also 30. So the index 2 and index 4. We would like to code and implement this problem. Give yourself a trial. To do the task, I'm going first to start with an interesting function named as argmax. Argmax is a very common word in mathematics and programming. It means specifically, it means find the index of the maximum value. So the max function is returning the maximum value, but not the index. The argmax is returning the index, not the value, and which is much more powerful. Sadly, the max function in list doesn't return the index for some implementation reasons, maybe. However, there are different ways to implement it. But for now, I would like to go with a very simple way, which is a bit slow but still very good enough for our purpose, which is as following. You first call the max function over the list. Then you are calling list.index of the maximum value. So by this way, you are solving the argmax function, which is just returning the index of the maximum value in the array, which is as simple as let's find the maximum, let's find where is its index, and that's all. So this is how we can do the argmax function. Definitely the problem here is iterating on the list twice. Notice that the max function will iterate twice. The list function will iterate twice. Also observe that this isn't kind of nested loops. It is one loop doing the max, then a separate loop doing a max here. So this actually like ON algorithm here. Let's go back to our task. We would like to find the index of the top two maximum values. There is a simple idea here. We will find the argmax, which is giving us the index of the maximum value. We will then reset the position value of that index with a value that is very small and doesn't exist in the list. After that, we will call argmax again to get the second argmax value. And then we will undo the change that we did here to the array. So the overall idea is find the maximum, remove it, find another maximum, then we got our two maximum values, but make sure to not corrupt your input list. There is definitely one drawback in our approach here. We are doing a lot of loops, but they are all like single loops. They are all linear loops. So we are like overall still ON algorithm, but just still iterating a lot, but still very linear. Let's see some code for that. In the first step here, I will call the argmax function, which will return for me the position of the maximum value. I'm going to take this maximum value in a temporary variable here. And then I'm going to find the minimum value in the list and go to the maximum position and assign the minimum value -1. Now the interesting is here, this max position now isn't max at all because it has a very, very minimum value. Now find the argmax again. This is max position 2. Now max position 1 and max position 2 refer to our two positions. Remember that we corrupted the max position value here, so we're going to return back its value again. So we're going to undo the change so that the list is returned as it was, and return the max position 1 and max position 2. Again, the overall idea is find the maximum, remove it, find the maximum again. But we didn't remove it explicitly, we just canceled its value. Again, this is all like just linear loops, nothing is nested at all. But overall it's still slow to do a lot of operations. I would like you to think, how can we do it with really a single loop overall, nothing more than just a single loop, literally a single loop. To do that in a single loop, the idea is simple. We will maintain two variables for our two maximums, and we will iterate on the list once and keep updating the two maximums to reflect the current status. Let's say that so far I have maximum 1 with value 20 and maximum 2 with value 10. And let's say you have a new value 30 in the array, in the list. Then we should update it such as that 30 is our max 1 and 20 is our max 2. Another example. Let's say that you have 20 and 10 and you got 15. Then we need our max 1 to remain as 20, but max 2 should be 15. If you have another case here, if you have 20 and 10 and you got new 20, then max 1 and max 2 should be both of them 20. Please give a trial to write a code to implement this function. Here is the code for it. We will first of all use the first two items in the code in the list to be our first and second position. So I started with max position 1 and 2 with values 0 and 1. But it could be that the first value is bigger than the second value. So I'm making a check here. Is the first value less than the second value? If the answer is true, then we need the opposite. So let max position be 1 and the max position be 0. So for example, imagine the values were 10 and 20. Then we said max 1 is 10, but this is wrong. We are going here to switch it. After that, we will start from 2 up to the end of the list. And we will keep updating the max 1 and max 2 as following. If list of max position of 1 is less than the current item, it means that the current item is bigger. So we will do the following. The max 2 will take the max 1 value. And the max 1 will take the new bigger value. This is the first condition. In the second case, max 1 is actually bigger than the current one. So we are checking if max 2 is less than or 8 or not. If it is less than or this second value, this new value, we will assign it for it. This way we handled the three cases I'm listing here. And as you see, in a very single loop, just one single loop, we just did the computation. As it's just single loop, it's just ON algorithm, which means if you have something like a list of 1 million item, it will just take like 1 million operation. By the way, your code up to like 50 million operations, you will feel it like taking maybe 1 second or so. It's something very fast. But the more than that, you probably will notice that your code is a bit slow. I would like to give you some tip. Always challenge my solutions. Like Python is really a very strong language, and sometimes you might write a code that you feel it's okay, but some other guys can do your code maybe in a more efficient way, maybe in a more Pythonic way. The more experience you will get in Python, you will notice that you can write your Python code in a very different style, maybe more efficient. Python has a lot of libraries, so the same problem can be done in really many ways. When I list here one solution or two solutions, it doesn't mean that this only the only way to do it. Also, it doesn't mean necessarily that is the most Pythonic way to do it. If at any point of time you felt like you have a code that is more Pythonic than my code, then please message me and I will be glad to check it. That's all.